right, check. Here we go. This is the Sights and Sounds of Earth right here on Starship Adventures. And Daddy's out of here. He's like, I've had enough already. This show's already been way too long. All right, so there we go. I've got my usual co-hosts in tonight as well. Tonight we're going to be covering a number of things, but we're going to be watching a little bit of civil unrest, not a whole lot, and the usual little bits here and there. We're going to discuss that. I want to discuss tonight a new TSA rule where you have to have your new ID with the little gold star. But if you don't, you can grease us $45 and we'll let you fly anyway. We're going to talk about that in a little while tonight. And also, we're going to talk extensively about this new complex of sunspots that's coming around and last night's X-flare. And we're going to talk about how that X-flare did not come from this big, huge complex of sunspots that's coming around on the eastern limb, but we're going to be talking about the one that set off the flare, which is on the north half of the hemisphere, and then we're also going to be talking about this huge cluster of sunspots, one of the biggest clusters in decades, now emerging from the eastern limb, meaning that from now on, anything that happens over the next 6 or 8 days is going to possibly be geo-effective. The one we had blow up yesterday, even though it was the other sunspot north on the northern hemisphere, that one is going to probably produce a mild CME here, probably a G1 geomagnetic storm. So it does happen there. All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at the big board tonight and see where we're at around the world. We've got storm chasers out in the snow. That's the left center and left upper is our storm chasers. Top center is Christmas shots from around the world. And then on the upper right, we've got the civil unrest that's going on. And there's a multi-screen format there that I'm presenting for you there. And then down here on the right, we've got Radar Omega with two more storm chasers and a fixed cam. That fixed cam is in Mobile, Alabama, where we got some pretty bad weather kind of rolling in now, nothing severe. And then the other two storm chasers there, again, are up in the northeast. They're up here near the Great Lakes. I guess you would call that the Midwest, actually. Let's see. Our storm chasers here are way up here, and they're looking at this lake effect snow. And yes, we are seeing lake effect snow. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what this is right here. You can see the stripes in it. This is lake effect snow, and it's all moving in towards land. And as this moves in like this, as this condensate forms over the water here, due to the air being cooler than the water, what ends up happening is it condensates. And as it goes over the land and things change back around again, all that moisture that was collected up in the clouds is released back to the ground again in the form of a very heavy snow. And that's where we're at right now. Our two storm chasers that you see here on the right in Whitehall, Michigan, and the other one in Muskegon, Michigan, respectively there, the little tornado and the little guy. You can see them right there, and they are following this lake effect snow event. It's just starting to kick off. This has been going on for days up there, but this is like round 2 starting tonight. That whole storm from yesterday's kind of moved off, but this is kind of another one coming in. So we're kind of between them. We're still getting this this lake effect snow event here, and you can see the storm chaser in the middle there. This is I'm sorry, let me get his name for you. This is Vince Weather Eye. This is Vince Weather Eye in the middle here. Look at there's your full screen. Got the snow coming down, and also we got Connor Croft down here. Connor Croft out there as well, and he is they're both right in front of this thing. So we're gonna see, we'll see if this is probably going to kick up overnight Lake effect tends to get worse overnight. Because as the temperature over the lake drops, the water temperature, the differential is greater, and you can get even more lake effect snow. So there you go. That's kind of where we're at with that. So we're going to be watching this lake effect snow. As far as anything else going on out here, that's where our storm chasers are. There's nothing going on out in the west, just a little bit of rain out in Washington, far eastern Oregon, and Idaho. But for the most part, not seeing much in the way of anything until we get to this next storm system here. There's a slight risk for flash flooding tonight down here in Mobile, Alabama. And so if you're in that area there, we've got some very heavy rain right now moving up through Gulfport right now out of New Orleans. And this rain here is it's coming down. It's that steady rain that just keeps on coming. It's not overly heavy, it's just steady, and it just continues to fall. New Orleans finally starting to see clear air now coming in off the coast over in Morgan City, and that clear air is going to move over New Orleans proper and eventually Slidell and Lake Pontchartrain here in the next maybe hour and a half, and then you might see a little bit of drying out. There's not a whole lot being picked up behind this mess. Always check my phone to make sure somebody's not telling me I need to get my chat room up. I'm having an issue getting my chat room up. Let me see if it'll. There it is. Okay. Sometimes you have to give it a few minutes before it pops up on the live screen. Hey Carlotta. Hey Dom. Hey Victor. Red. Eyes on Heaven. Hello everybody. Welcome tonight. And Neighbor in Moorhead. Dom. Bill. Thank you, all of you, for being here tonight, and Heath especially, thank you for being here tonight. Yeah, Red, there, boy, it is in some parts. It is really snowing, and so we're watching that because it's coming across. So we've got rainstorms coming out of Alabama and Mississippi and New Orleans, Louisiana, and up into the Florida Panhandle now. And even Tallahassee now getting in on some of the action, all the way over to Jacksonville, one of the biggest cities in Florida. I'm telling you, you don't ever hear much about Jacksonville. You always hear about Miami or West Palm. You always hear about Tampa or Tallahassee. Jacksonville's bigger than all of them, I think. It's like one of the biggest, if not the biggest. And you just never hear about it. It's just one of those, it's a big metro, but you just don't hear a lot about it. They run a pretty clean ship there, I guess. But yeah, Jacksonville, very big area right there. The whole county is the city. It's one of those kind of places. All right, let's see here. Welcome everybody. We are watching a number of things tonight. The number one thing we're watching tonight is space weather. We actually have a bit of a situation forming out there. We've got a huge cluster, but before I get to the cluster, I want to talk about this huge sunspot that we have. It's it let out an explosion last night while we were on the air. We reported it live here, thanks to some of you guys. This was the still image that was taken by the Solar Dynamics Observatory, which is one of our spacecraft out there. And there it is. That's the blast coming in. You can see the light, the blast of light basically there. That sent out every kind of radio wave and magnetic this and radioactive that. That was one hell of an explosion. It blacked out communications. We're going to get to that in just a second. But while we're talking about this, let me just go ahead and go down the article here so I don't miss anything. They were expecting an X-flare. We were expecting sometime between midnight last night and midnight tonight, we were expecting an X-flare. and we still are. However, we got it, but it was not from where we thought it was going to be from. And I'm going to show you the solar disk here in just a minute and show you where these two the flare came from, and also I want to show you this big cluster F, if you know what I mean, on the sun. So we're going to get into that here in just a second. Let me move this so I can see the chat room. I don't know. Who knows? Notice again, this is all protest footage, and there's like 10 people out there. I don't know why we're even bothering anymore. I don't know why I'm even putting it up anymore, but I don't have, trust me, if there was a bunch of other stuff I had to put up, I wouldn't put that up. I think this is from Portland Andy, or one of them over there. They do a good job covering this stuff. There's just not much to cover right now. And what you end up with is 10 or 15 YouTubers down there covering 4 or 5 people with signs. Yes, Dom, there's a lot in Jacksonville. It's a great place. It's a lot of big businesses there. What I'm saying about Jacksonville is not derogatory in any way. It's just, it keeps its nose clean. It's a big, huge metro, but you never hear about like a bunch of problems there. I think it's a great place. If I wanted to live in a metro, I would consider it. Let's see. Yeah, smash the like, guys, and hit a subscribe on there. I appreciate it. There's also this new thing you can do, and if anybody knows how to do it, I haven't tried it yet, but you guys can hype me or something. If anybody knows how to do it, I think it's on your screen somewhere. You can hype a video while it's live, and if a bunch of people do it, it'll get us out to more people out there. And so I want to figure that out in the next few days, and so I know what to tell you guys to do. I have to tell you, keeping up with YouTube's changes and YouTube's new policies and TOS and all that kind of stuff, man, I preferred when TOS stood for the original series. But terms of service, by the time I get done with all that, I didn't have time to figure out this new thing. Yes, I will hype. I think it's a button. I hate to sound ignorant, dude, but I think it's a button on there. If you guys can find it, hit it. If you know what to do or how it works, paste it in there for me. Oh, that's cool, Car. All right, well, let me tell you, you're not going to get any flurries tonight. Although, the last time I saw you, it was cold. I have to admit, for Florida, it was nipply. Anyway, let's see here. Thank you, Victor. I appreciate that. And yeah, yeah, stay warm tonight. I hate to rub it in, but we're at like 65 tonight. I mean, it's I got the house opened up. It's just beautiful outside. I got a fan blowing in, a fan blowing out, and the cats are loving it. Yeah, I think this storm is going to come through, Car. And when it does, we will get some rain here coming through down the Gulf Coast, which is from the Big Bend area, which is about where it's getting into now. It's already raining in Tallahassee. It's already raining along the Panhandle, and that'll all come down. Okay, so anyway, finishing this up. So last night we had an X flare. But it was not from the big cluster. It was from a standalone sunspot just above the equator. The X9 category flash is shown here in an ultraviolet extreme ultraviolet image. God, I'm getting dyslexic with the words now. Extreme ultraviolet image from NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory. The surprise, the flare did not come from giant sunspot 4294-96, now emerging from the sun's southern hemisphere. The actual source, an unnumbered northern sunspot, appeared to be harmless until it suddenly exploded during our show last night. The flare ionized Earth's upper atmosphere and caused a shortwave radio blackout directly above Australia. The explosion also hurled a bright CME into space. NASA models suggest it should mostly miss Earth. Yeah, that's cool. I do want to show you guys, this is the forecast. Isn't that cool? This is the forecast. And let me show you guys how to read this real quick. All right, when we look at this, forecast here, let me, okay, Earth is the yellow circle. Okay, so Earth is right here. There should be a little thing that says you are here. But Earth is the yellow circle. Okay, and you can see these other ones, Stereo A and Sol Zero. These are both our spacecraft. These are all spacecraft, but you also have Mars, Mercury, Venus. Okay, the reason you don't see the rest of the planets is because they're further out. They're beyond the range of this. Anyway, so we're looking at this here, and what we basically see is, you see this big wave that comes off down here on the bottom. That is it. That's the CME. It was barely coming around the side when it went off. And here's like the rest of it here, and you can see where it's almost all going to miss us. We may get just a little bit of it here, the end of it there. But anyway, this is our official, like when you look at the forecast to see what you're going to get. It does look like here that we are going to get a glancing blow, although they're playing it down right now in space weather, so maybe not so much. But anyway, that's that. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is this sunspot cluster, and I'm calling it the cluster F from hell, if you know what I mean. This thing is mean. It's dangerous looking. And here, I'm going to roll this down and pull this picture up so you can see it. Look at that shit right there. Let me make it smaller. I got to make it smaller because it won't even fit in here at this point. Hold on. I had to literally make the view bigger. There we go. There's the entire thing. Look at that. It's still coming around. There may be more. But wait, there's more. I mean, if you look at it, the last big one is still just coming around the limb right now. Okay, so anyway, giant sunspot alert. Sunspot complex 4294-4296 is so big it won't fit in a single photo. I just had the same problem they did. I had to combine two panels to capture the massive complex, says Amarit Screechan, who sends this mosaic from Trinidad. This is one of the biggest sunspot groups in the past 10 years. From end to end, it measures 180,000 kilometers, and at least 5 of the dark cores are individually larger than the entire planet Earth. These dimensions make it easy target for safely filtered backyard telescopes. If you have a solar filter, try this simple projection technique. Either way, it is spectacular. If you don't have that solar filter for your telescope and you've got an old cheap telescope, you can still do this using the projection method. I put that link out last night, and I'm going to put it in there again tonight. This is if you have an old cheap telescope, but you can't use it because you don't have the solar filter for it. No worries. Try this. It might work. All right, NASA Mars rover saw it first last week. Perseverance photographed the giant sunspot through a cloud of dust from the bottom of a crater. At the time, it was days away from turning towards Earth, but now we can see it. Damn, sorry. I'm allergic to solar storms. The sunspot group has an unstable beta gamma delta magnetic field that harbors energy for X-class solar flares. Any such explosions today and going forward for the next 4, 5, 6 days will be geo-effective. So yeah, that first one was just coming around, boom. We didn't get much of that. We could get anything from these sunspots at this point. There's so many of them. I mean, normally we get 1 or 2 this big, and it's a big deal. We've got this huge complex of solar flares. So the point is, I would be coming on each week, all week, because I think we're going to be talking about this a lot each night at 9 p.m. Eastern when we go live. Yes, I did. I defibrillated a number of patients. Most of them died. Defibrillation is certainly a last-ditch effort, but it does save lives. I had one of the first conversions with the new semi-automatic external defibrillators. I went to the trainer, learned how to train my people to do it, came back, trained my people to do it, and within having the machine on the truck for 2 or 3 weeks, I had already hit somebody with it 3 times and got a pulse back. So I am a huge believer in defibrillation. I'm not sure about this new stuff coming out from American Heart and Red Cross about dropping the breaths and all that. I'm not going to get into any of that because I have some strong opinions and I'm not a doctor. But up to that point, when it comes to defibrillation or when it comes to traditional CPR, they save lives, man. I've done it. And it's amazing. Yeah, the one thing TV doesn't relay is while you're cranking that person with all these joules of electricity, the one thing TV does not convey to you is the fact that it smells like burning hair in that room for the next week. Yeah, I know. There's plasma ropes. There's all kinds of fun stuff. There's people surfing. It's amazing. It's like SUNSPOT on the sun. It's some amazing stuff. I can't wait till the movies come out. You know, once it's gone across and they go back and composite it all together, and you'll be able to see these things growing and morphing. There's going to be some neat visuals that come out of this, which I'm sure I will show you guys. You knew I'd be talking about this, of course. This is huge, and there's not a lot going on tonight. All right. When you know, one of the things about TV and radio, which I do both, is you have to do the show whether there's a lot to talk about or a little to talk about. Tonight we've got kind of a lot to talk about, but it's mostly just solar stuff, which is cool. I love it. I love the science of this stuff. Yeah, AED training is amazing. The automatic external defibrillators, that's what that means, guys. And these are the things you see hanging in malls and airports that says, you know, defibrillator, you know, do not touch, whatever. Those are for anyone to use. And let me tell you, if you're in a mall and someone goes down and they're completely, it seems like they're dead, and you can't get a pulse, and you know where one of those things are, you can use those. You do not need to be a professional. They're for you. You rip that shirt off, you get those 2 pads on that person, and you plug it in and turn it on. It'll tell you what to do. You don't even have to know how to put the pads on. It'll tell you what to do. You turn it on, it'll say, get the pads, take them out of the paper. You know, it'll tell you what to do. And you just do exactly what it says. You know, white goes up here, red goes on the rib down here, and you press the button again when you're ready, and it will tell you. It detects a shockable rhythm. Stand clear. Beep, beep, beep. Stand clear. Beep, beep, beep. And just do what it says. Just stand clear. Let it do all the work. And then it will tell you, begin CPR. And you start CPR. And you do CPR, and after about 30, 40 seconds, it'll tell you, stand clear. And it will assess the patient again. Stand by for shock. Beep, beep, beep. And it does everything. It's in charge. All you have to do is follow directions, and you can save a life with an external defibrillator. They are amazing. They're a little scary and a little dangerous, but as long as we're careful and we're responsible adults and we chill out and try to save a life, that's what it's all about. Just chill out and try to save a life, and you can do it. Heath, we can certainly talk about that. I'm not prepped for that tonight, but let me put it on my list for one night this week. What Heath's talking about, comms prepper Heath is talking about, is it's called a Faraday cage. Basically, When you're inside a metal structure and your cell phone don't work, congratulations, you're in a Faraday cage. That's all there is to it. If you take a metal box and you ground it to the ground, any energy that comes to that box will get spelled off into the ground, and anything that's inside the box will be protected. Even my metal studio, this studio is a metal building, metal roof, metal walls, everything's metal except the floor, which doesn't really matter. The metal structure on this building is grounded with 2 grounding rods. So technically, I have a low-level Faraday cage right now that my studio's already in. If I were to get a large solar flare that were to come down, and we would get, you know, a proton storm here, whatever you want to call it, believe it or not, just the fact that I'm in a completely surrounded metal shed that's grounded to the ground gives me some protection. However, here's the big caveat. Everything in here is connected to the power grid. So anything that's plugged in is dead in the water. Anything that's hooked up to any wires at all is dead in the water. Now, my radios that are in standby boxes or in my go boxes and all that, that stuff might survive because it's inside the Faraday cage and it's not connected to the grid or the internet or any other kind of grid. But that's the caveats there. I know when I get a really bad lightning storm, and I've had 2 since I started building the studio, I got kill out switches down here on the floor down here. They're right near the bottom of the wall. They're underneath the console, and I open up that panel, and I can pull those 4 switches down, and it kills this place. It kills everything coming in. And I've only done it twice, but we get those frog stranglers down here where it's just wham, 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 wham. And I'll if I know it's coming, I'll unplug all my coax from all my radios, which I don't leave it all just hooked up anyway, only usually what I'm using. But I unhook all my coax from my radios, and those go on a loop, and I hang them up on the wall so they're not touching the radio or anything. And then I will pull out my blowout switches and I'll kill everything, both the hot and the neutral coming into the building. And I've got my own independent ground. I'm pretty particular about this, but I do not have any kind of arrestor protection or anything, or any kind of CAD welding or any of that kind of stuff that you would associate with someone that actually knows what they're doing. My problem is money. That stuff's very expensive, and it's not high on my list. Solar flares? Are you saying heart attacks? Because I actually believe that if there's a lot of solar flares, we actually see a rise in heat here on the planet. I also believe that solar activity can lead to our ailments and things being worsened and things like that. So I don't know which you mean there, but you're right in both counts. Numbers of heart attacks, yeah, I agree. But I also think the heat does go up too. So you were right either way. You're late to the party. Hey, Gator, what's up? We're talking about the solar flares. We're talking about this huge sunspot group that's coming around. Where is that? Wasn't there another one? That's what the solar observatory got last minute. You can't really see much. Hey, Daddy, I'm busy. Let's see. All right, I showed all that. Hey, buddy, I'm hosting the damn show right now. You know. All right, so that's the big. And you know what's funny? Even with this the way it is, you still can't see it all. Look at that. That's all of it right there. I had to zoom it way out. Yeah, I think it could. Heath, absolutely. Any kind of electronics. I mean, I wouldn't stay up thinking about it at night, but I mean that is definitely something you have to consider. If I needed electronic devices in order to live, if it was a certain electronic device I needed to live, I might consider getting an extra one and putting it in a metal box and burying it somewhere. I will tell you the biggest mistake people make when they bury stuff is they don't make it waterproof. Guys, if you don't waterproof it, you're burying something that's not going to be worth anything when you dig it back up. You spend the money on a Pelican case and put it in there, and then put that inside a bigger Pelican case. I don't trust any of that shit. And then bury that in your yard. It's actually even better in a metal box if you can find something, but you might have to put it in a metal box and then put the metal box inside of a waterproof Pelican case. A true Pelican case, you can bury it and it's good for 20 years. I mean, it's, you know. But we'll get into Faraday cages more, because what's important about Faraday cages is if they're, and I'm sorry, I kind of left off the middle of that story. The reason Faraday cages are important is because one of the things that could turn us back into the Stone Ages is the EMP pulse from a nuclear weapon. And there's even talk that Russia, as well as the United States, have both got stuff set up for airburst. I mean, pretty much all nuclear weapons are airburst. A lot of people don't realize that. They think the bomb comes in and hits the city hall or whatever, and it bursts several miles above the surface. That gives you the most damage, the most radiation dispersal. So all these weapons are airburst by nature. But if you were to airburst one a lot higher than that, you could knock out the entire electrical grid and communications for a country the size of the United States. It's a little scary. And so with a Faraday cage, if you have a bunch of old radios or whatever, and they're inside this metal box that's inside this waterproof case that's buried 3 foot deep in your yard. And I even know a guy that did this, and he put a steel plate over the top of it when he got it buried in there, and then he put a big steel plate over that, and then he buried that. And so no energy was going to come down through there and get to those radios that he had buried down there. And he had some basic stuff, a little mini TV, a receiver. You don't have to worry about your antennas, your coils, and things like that. Probably be okay. It's very sensitive devices like radio receivers that are first destroyed by this. And then, of course, anything hooked to the power grid would also get destroyed because it's going to get over voltage. Yeah, a lot of times corporations, whole rooms, whole areas, whole buildings will be Faraday building. And what that means is they've got special pads on the floor. The floors are all grounded and against static electricity. And you'll normally go in and either change into a suit or change out of your clothing completely and into a static suit. And you will then wear special shoes where your feet are actually grounded through the shoe. I know that sounds crazy, but this is all the way they do it. And then you'll wear a thing on your arm. And if you're going to work on this rack, you will snap your little thing in, and then you can work on the rack. And what that does is it equals your voltage to the voltage that's on the grounding rack. And that way you can touch things without there being a voltage discharge from one direction or the other. Like I said, there's even special shoes that you wear, and it will ground your feet to the pad, which will ground you. So the whole time you're in this place, you cannot build up a static charge. Even when you're walking, when you're moving, when you're working on stuff, you're unable to build up any static charge at all. Now, over the years, believe it or not, equipment is now less susceptible to this than it used to be. And I actually feel that a lot of that is kind of going away. You don't hear about it much anymore. Static free this and surge this and that. You just don't hear it much anymore. But that used to be a big deal back in the 90s and the early 2000s. Was the server rooms and the rack rooms and all were these areas like that. And it just doesn't seem to be that way anymore. I think the main reason is because our equipment is a lot less susceptible to it. However, it will still be very susceptible to an electromagnetic pulse. And I want you to think of something. If you've got an HF radio and you got a wire run out with a ladder line that runs up to your 40-foot tower, and then you got this big inverted V, how much power do you think that's going to collect and dump into the back end of your radio? Meanwhile, it's getting attacked through the power cord too, because that's all coming in through commercial power. And then you've got it hooked up to your computer, so it's getting it through your computer too. And then everything else. So your HF radio is a goner. You need to almost take an old HF radio and go put it in a Faraday cage and bury it in the backyard. You don't have to bury it. I mean, truthfully, you could do this with like an old freezer, and you build a metal box within a metal box within a metal box, and you put it in the back of your garage or whatever, and you run an actual large grounding wire out, and you put grounding rods in that ground your box, and then your boxes inside are all grounded and everything. If you do it right, you don't have to bury it. It's just burying it, if you can do a watertight case, burying it gives you a lot more protection. Equipment is designed better today. It'll hold up better today in many respects. It takes micro voltage changes better, static electricity discharges better than it did just 10 years ago. So I think that makes a big difference. Can you stop for a minute? It's just constant. You're like a wife that don't put out. Anyway. Oh, man. Please, cat, my God. He won't take no for an answer. Get off the keyboard. Go away. Jesus. My God, I'm wondering why the mouse isn't working right. Stop. Let me try refreshing. These cats love to walk on keyboards. That's what they do. They walk on keyboards. All right, let's see here. I think, you know what, I looked this up, Madman Markham, Mike Madman Markham. I remember, I think I listened to a Coast to Coast show on this years ago. I'm not sure, though. Deploribus, that will work to a degree. It will. But you really need to ground the trash can. Even if you just, like, let's say you got the grounding rod outside for your electrical. Just take a jumper cable and hook it to that, and hook the other side, go inside your garage and hook it up to your garbage can. Just clamp it onto your garbage can. Now that garbage can is grounded. So any energy that comes into that garbage can is going to be spelled off into the ground. And that would be the way to do that. But yeah, even just putting it in a can will help. Anything will help. Everything in the world is in degrees. It will help you. How much it will help you? Well, that's going to be in order of degrees. You know, it might, if it's a minor storm, you know, that just affects some equipment, you'll probably be okay. If it's one of these ones that kills almost everything, it's probably going to get your stuff in the garbage can too. It's one of those things. Everything's in degrees. Look, my cats walk on water. I love my cats. I don't care. I put up with their bullshit, especially this one. Right? Don't I put up with you? See, you just want to sit. He won't do anything, but he wants to sit because he knows that gets my attention. The moment I start ignoring him, he starts walking on the keyboard. Immediately, my attention. Immediately. And he knows it. And even though it's negative attention, he'll take it. He could work in Hollywood. Yeah. You're crazy, cat. I swear to God. All right, let's go back and look at the radar. We're going to be covering that sunspot all week. All week. It's going to be going on. The Glowtastic League. I love that, Victor. Yeah, I've always loved the Aurora, man. I've had a thing for it. My graphics back when I did ghost hunting was always the Aurora in the background. And then when I did my Saturday night show on here, doing tech stuff for several years, I always used auroras as the background. And to this day, if you look, much of my graphics has auroras in the background, different colors. Even if it's a big city with all kinds of stuff going on, if you look carefully, I have a thing that I instruct. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little secret, okay? Branding. Okay, there's a secret. Branding. And do you know what the number one thing that's overlooked in branding sometimes is color. Color is so important in branding. Everything on my channel is branded half red and half blue. That's been a thing since day one. And everything on my other channel is branded navy blue and purple. Everything's colored that way. Even my show tonight, it's rotating colors or something up there. Normally, this one's on blue. And the reason this one is normally on blue and this one is on red, it's branding. Half red, half blue. If you look, all of my graphics are half red and half blue. I have a thing. When I make a picture, I showed you guys last night how I make thumbnails. When I make a thumbnail, I have a little thing I paste in there that says, light the background with an off-scene light source, red on one side, blue on the other. And it also said, most of mine are always at sunset. Why is that? It makes the lighting angles better. It puts color into the photograph. It makes a very steep lighting angles, which gives you like long shadows and things like that make the pictures look cooler. It's at that transition between day and night, you know? And then there's that red and blue background. The buildings are lit up red and blue in the background. It's subtle, but it's in almost every one. If you go to my channel and you scroll down through all of my thumbnails for both live or for my videos, you will see that they're all colored like that. They all have that branding in there, and it's so important. And now I bet you when you're scanning around looking for something to watch, when one of my thumbnails pops up, you know it's one of mine, because they're colorful, they're dark but colorful, and they're relevant to it, and they're generally AI generated, which means they're really cool. They're exactly of what I'm doing. Like the one I made yesterday, it was like a storm chaser vehicle or whatever in the snow. I can make exactly what I want. And so if you guys decide to start your own channel, and you got to make sure it's something you're going to stick with, Don't waste your time unless you're going to stick with it. Pick 2 colors and stick with them. Everything you do with those 2 colors. Not that you can't use other colors. You know, I'm not much on the color green. You don't see green very often. But you see purple a lot because red and blue make purple. That's the transition between the two. So you do see red and purple a lot, and blue. But yeah, I think that branding is probably more important than people realize. And it's not just always the logo. It's the colors. It's the stripes. It's something that says, hey, that's you. Yes, Dom, absolutely. Lay people can be trained in CPR and AED. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take much training to get, and you don't need to be qualified to do it. You're a good Samaritan. Anything's better than nothing. But you do need to pretty much learn what you're going to do. The AEDs especially, you just open the package and hit the button and it will tell you what to do. Oh wow, there you go. A lightning protection course at General Electric Mobile Radio. That would have been fun. That would have been cool. I would have liked that. Yeah. Yeah, equipment's come a long way. I will admit that. Equipment's come a long way. Yeah, that rain line is all the way up now to the Big Bend area of Florida. You can see it there on the radar. I don't know if Carlotta's still in here, but you can see there it's moving into Big Bend. I wanted to back out here just a little bit and check our storm chasers up here. I think they're both still, well, one of them's moving, one of them's stopped, but they're both up way up here. One's in Holland and one's in Muskegon. One's in Whitehall, one's in Muskegon, and they're tracking this snow event, and it actually looks like it's gone down over the last little bit. It's not near as much as it was, but that is definitely lake effect snow, and it's trying to set up. But you can see this, that's lake effect snow as it comes up in there, and it looks like a little bit trying to form there. You can see where it wants to set up. It wants to set up. And then here we've got a little bit coming up here. You know, that's a little bit of lake effect there. It's not much. I don't see it really anywhere else. Certainly is not like it was the other night. I got to tell you, the other night was crazy. This is lake effect snow. This is all up in Canada. There's a great shot of some actual lake effect snow. There you go. That's what it looks like. It forms out here, and then it moves over here and drops its load. And so your snow count is going to be huge right here. You're going to have an area here. If I'm not careful, I do the South Park thing and start drawing phallic symbols and shit. You can see here, there's an area here that is going to get a lot of snow. I mean, that area there is going to get a lot of snow. However, if you lived right there, you might not get anything. It's one of those things where it's very localized. It's very, very localized. But if you're right here, you've been getting heavy snow for the last hour, and it's going to continue. And this is, like I said, this is in Canada. There's Wawa, Canada. Is that where Wawa's from? What a mess. All right, so that's that, and so we are watching that lake effect snow there, and then, like I said, there's these 2 spots here where we've got some lake effect also. And then there's really nothing over here in this one. And that's what we got going on. And of course, we've got this frontal system. This frontal system down here, and in Mobile, we've got currently a watch for flash flood. There's some areas down here they've got right now a general thunderstorm watch, and they also have a flash flood discussion down here. So they're a little worried about the amount of rain that's falling down here. And that image, this image right here, that's the one that we're seeing up here. That's already on the screen right here. And it's raining like hell. I don't know why it's not coming up. Probably because it's already on the screen. But that's this one up here where it's raining like hell. All right, and as you can see, that's just going to get worse. That rain is just training over the same areas over and over and over again. Yeah, I've only seen thunder snow once in my life. It was in Snowshoe, West Virginia. I was up on top of Snowshoe Mountain at a ski resort when a blizzard came through. Thunder snow's cool because it's like someone, it's almost like, I don't know. It's almost like lightning striking pillows. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, it's totally different because it's like muffled but yet still loud. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, thunder snow is cool. And it can be really bright because everything outside is covered in white. And if your eyes are adjusted for night and you get thunder snow, it's very bright for a very short period of time there. It's like, and your eyes are completely gone. Yeah, thunder snow is something else. A neat phenomenon to behold. All right, comms prepper, I'm adding that to my show notes. Just so you guys know, when we're in show, I can't respond to everything. So if it's something I want to check out later, I just copy your entire text and I paste it into a text. And then at the end, I save it under today's date. And then when I get up in the morning, there it is on my screen. And I can go and look this stuff up and check it all out. I like that. Hey, the Lone Silencer, how's it going? Yeah, thunder snow, pretty rare occasion. I've not around snow that much, so the fact that I even got to see it once is pretty cool, or hear it. It's more of a the seeing it's one thing. It's just like bright lightning. The hearing it is what's weird. When the snow's falling really hard and there's a blanket of snow on the ground, it's like boom, 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 boom. It's like, I don't know. It's like what you hear from inside a big pillow or something. Oh wow, yeah, that would be cool. Lightning strike during a snowstorm. Yeah, it's a fairly rare phenomenon, almost as rare as the aurora, but not quite. All right. All right, let me look here. Let me go through the other stuff that we had here. I don't see a bunch of this whole civil unrest and all that. I don't see it. All I really see right now going on out there is nothing. I don't know, this whole thing about every night there's a protest, but it's really not. What it is it's YouTubers riding around and looking around and walking around looking for a protest. Yeah, it is, because even during the storm, it's not like it's striking constantly like it does down here. You'll get 3 or 4 strokes of thunder snow and you're done. But it's still, when it happens, it's like, wow, that was cool. Especially if you're up in the mountains too, because the mountains make thunder. The mountains change thunder too, and they give you a little bit of a weird reflective Doppler effect on the thunder. Boom, 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 boom. You don't hear that down here in Florida. Yeah, we had a Midland LMR base radio, and it hit our tower and blew up our radio and blew up our TV and blew up our engineer on duty too. He had to go to the hospital. He was all right though. He was unconscious when we found him. It hits down here. We get bad storms. Like I said the other night, it's not, growing up a couple times, and as an adult, I know once at the fire station, a couple times at my apartment there, out by the firehouse there. I maybe 6 or 8 times in my life that I sat in the hallway and waited for it to pass, because it was I was scared. I mean, I'm gonna admit it, dude. It's lightning is striking right outside the house, and it's striking like there's aliens coming or something. It sounds more like a phaser battle. All right, and I can remember one. I had my cat Queezer, and I don't know who was more scared, her or me. I sat there in the hallway, and of course back then it was all landline phones, so you didn't dare call anybody. You'd be dead. And it just, you start thinking after a while, this is so bad, and it's lasting so long, and I can hear the wind howling outside, and I can hear things banging up against the outside of the house, and then my fire department starts getting multiple calls, and I'm like, I don't think I can make it to my car at this point, and the firemen are on there saying, we got heavy 1013, it's really bad, heavy rain, and lightning, and they're toning everybody to report to the station. A really bad storm. I caught part of that storm on my security camera system, an old antiquated black and white security camera system from back in the day, and I have that here somewhere where I've converted it over, and I've saved that for all posterity. And there's not much to see. There's no sound, but you can just see that the lightning's striking about once every 12 or 13 seconds, and it was all within 10 miles of my house. So yeah, we get those down here, but only once a decade, maybe, or two. You'll experience 1 or 2 of those a decade down here. I've gone years without one. We had one here one time, and it was fairly bad. It wasn't one of those like that, but it was almost that bad. And I can remember it very well upset the 2 women that were living here. It was an upsetting situation. It can be a bit overwhelming down here, and all your shit's in the wind too. Your house can get struck and burned down. It can hit the line outside and blow up all your appliances. We had that happen. It blew all the GFI plugs out of my kitchen. They were laying in the floor smoldering after the storm. It blew up our stove, blew up our TVs, it blew up everything we had here. And it blew up about half the shit I already had started out here in the shed. Luckily, this was right as I was just getting started out here. If that happened today, it would set me back a year. I would lose everything in here. And I don't know what I would do. I don't know. Oh my God. So it worries me. But I just made it through another lightning season. I now have 6 months before it gets bad again. July 1st. Usually by July 1st, we're in full swing. So I've got up until then. Yes, there was a time in school. It was a very unique situation one day. We were in the library. I was in a program called Major Work Area, which was a a gifted program thing for outside the box thinkers. It was some kind of government program. I don't know what it was all about. Anyway, who knows what they were doing in there. But I was in the library and we were working on some projects in there, and it was a weird day outside. It was in the middle of the winter. It was a very dry day, and everything was weird. I can always remember how it seemed different outside, and it was just drier than it ever gets down here. And I don't know if it was because of the way the air conditioning system worked in our library or what, but by the time about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning came up, I could scuff my feet on the floor and shock the shit out of anybody in that room. And everybody was doing it, scuff, 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 whack! And they were walking around, and I mean, people were shocking the shit out of people. And I can remember them telling, and it was like a big deal to me because it was a science project to me. You know, I was shuffling and going up to the metal wall socket, you know, and hitting it, and I could see the little discharge. It was amazing. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Dom. If nothing else, you should take an HF receiver, something that receives sideband, shortwave, and VHF, UHF, a multiband repeater, something that, or a multiband receiver, something that receives pretty much everything. And even if it doesn't transmit, that's fine. You need, because after a disaster, you're going to do a lot of listening and not much talking, because talking means you're telling people where you're at with your food. And so you're not going to be doing a lot of that. But listening is going to become very important, both to government messages, international messages. Remember, once all the power's down and all the radios have quit working and all the air conditioners are dead, HF radio signals will travel around the world very easily. And so with a simple receiver and a wire hung up in a tree, you could be able to stay up on tune of what's going on in the world and where we're at, maybe even get some kind of legitimate news. And all that would only be possible if you protect that receiver. That would, if you're going to do a small waterproof box in the yard, I would put several things in there. Okay, first thing I would do, get you a couple of these Baofeng radios for $40 and put them in there. Maybe 2 spare batteries. Charge them up fully and then stick them down in the box. And like I said, you don't have to bury it in your yard. You might put this in a Faraday cage, maybe inside a metal box that's inside a garbage can that's grounded to the ground, whatever. Put a couple of these Baofengs in there that are already programmed with all the frequencies, 1,000 useful frequencies. Have that in there, okay? Maybe have a pair of them so that way you can talk back to your base and you guys can use them for your own communication as well as to listen to others. But buy a receiver. There's many different ones. Here's a great little one. I did a review on this one. Great little receiver. This thing right here will pick up. Now, this particular one does not do upper and lower sideband. That was my only drawback on this one. The big brother to this one that they just released last year does upper and lower sideband. But this one will still get AM and FM broadcasts. You can get radio from all over the country, all over the world. It's really cool. It's a neat little radio. Got a little tuner here. It also tunes digitally. This can also be a Bluetooth speaker. It receives VHF, UHF, so you can pick up like fire departments and stuff on it. You can pick up all kinds of different government bands, different things on it. This would be something that I would put down in that box and make sure I have something like this. Maybe even something that also does sideband down in that box. Something that's got this has a really sensitive receiver in it. It picks up like FM radio stations that my car radio has a hard time with. So, I mean, it's got a really sensitive receiver in it. It's got its own antenna. I put a little piece of wire on here in case I want to make a longer antenna for it. It's got a great speaker. It's a huge speaker that goes from front to back. So this is Reticus makes this one. Retekess, Reticus. And this one, It also does aircraft band, AM, and it does, like I said, down in the low band, all the HF frequencies. It basically, you can just go surf up and down through all the different bands. That's something I would have in my Go kit or in my Faraday box, because you're going to want to hear what's going on out there. Talking's not a big deal. I hear people talk all the time about, I want to be able to transmit. No, you don't. The last thing you're going to want to do is tell somebody that you got power and food. Okay? So, I mean, let me tell you something. Just be worried about listening more than anything. It is good to have a couple of working radios, especially UHF, VHF, because you may find neighbors that you want to stay in contact with. And if you have these, you can do GMRS, FRS, MURS. You can do all these different bands, and everything are all in this one radio. Plus your fire frequencies, your electric company. You can program everything in here. So after the big event, you might have some guy down the street that used to be a lineman or something. You got his frequencies in your radio. You see what I mean? So you want to be as prepared as you can be. It's more than just talking about it, or more than just throwing the radio in there. You want to have it programmed and ready. Also, when you store the radio in the Faraday box, take the battery off, take the antenna off. It just further isolates the receiver in the radio from other outside influences, okay? It'll prevent the battery from overvolting into the radio, or vice versa, whatever. The antenna may collect electricity. If you don't have the antenna on the radio, then that little bit of electricity might not affect the radio because there's no antenna hooked up. So no battery, no antenna, store everything separately down in the box. They don't have to be separated by any distance, but you don't want them touching each other. Throw a towel down in there and wrap everything around in a towel. But that's how you store these. No antenna, no battery. For the receiver, this one here, I believe you can unscrew the antenna. I believe. But if you can remove this antenna, you want to remove the antenna. If you can't, then that's fine. It is what it is. That's just is what it is. I might wrap it in tinfoil. But like I said, you're better off to go in and remove this antenna if it'll unscrew and come out. Anytime you store anything in a Faraday cage, you want it to be disconnected from anything that connects to it. That way the equipment itself is not having any energy drawn into it. It's simply only going to have to deal with what energy comes through the actual housing of the equipment. And remember, most of these radios are inside some kind of metal housing in there, and that helps as well. So there's little things along the way that help, and a lot of times if we just throw it in a metal box and we've got the antenna and the battery taken off, hopefully it'll still work. I mean, that's kind of how it is. This is the UV32. This is the public service style radio. That's the new offering from Baofeng. It's the new front and back radio like they're making for the fire departments now. And Motorola has one that looks just like this. It's got the offset volume and the real tall knob there. This one is a big boy radio. There's no flashlight on this one. It's actually cloned, basically. The style is cloned off of the Motorola public safety style radio. Okay, I like this one a lot. Doesn't have a flashlight. If that's not a big deal to you, then get this one. It's really nice. Big screen, very nice to see, very read. Sounds really good because the speaker's on the back. See, it's like a two-sided radio. Notice these are normally on this side, and this is normally on this side. It's back assward. But after 2 days, you don't care. It's like you get used to it. So this is my new almost favorite radio. However, this is the UV25. This is my other favorite radio. This is a monster. You can beat down the bad guys with this one. I mean, it's literally, it should have like a club attachment for it, like a side handle. I mean, this thing is badass. It's heavy. It transmits 8 to 10 watts on 2 meters, 6 to 8 on 70 SEMS. It's a really good radio. That's the UV25. It's the brick. If you want something smaller, maybe something a little smaller would work better for you. The UV17 is the compromise. The UV17 has got, it's the exact same radio as this. These are the same radios. This is the rugged commercial version, and this is not. But they're both the same radio. They both work the same. They have the same number of channels. They program with the same program. As a matter of fact, when you program this new one I got down here, you use the UV17 GPS Pro, which is this one here. You use that program now to program this one. They all pretty much have the same guts in them. It's just the style of radio. So if you want something a little more compact, I would say the UV17, and they make a UV17 Pro GMRS, I think, version now. If you want something really big and really powerful, the UV25, the battery lasts forever. It's huge. It goes on with a screwdriver. This is the one for the survivalist. It's rugged. Would you get off the keyboard? Dude, this is not funny. We're going to have a disciplinary meeting following the show. So this is the UV25. This is the one I would get if you're the rugged mountain man, because this one's going to hold up the best in the woods. And then, of course, the public safety offering they have now, the UV32. Just type in Baofeng, just B-A-O-F-E-N-G, B-A-O-F-E-N-G, UV dash, and then just type either 17, 25, or 32. All right, all really good radios. They're now making this in a digital version, and they're also making them in, some of them come in colors now. They just released this radio now in a camouflage green, so really cool, you know. Yeah, Crowbar, I completely agree with what you're saying. Just having a radio, like I said, if you don't program it and you don't know how to use it, you better at least throw that stupid Chinglish owner's manual in there, because that's about all you're going to have. And that's going to be a real bitch for you to figure it all out after the fact. You really want to get a license, if nothing else, a GMRS license. But I would suggest a ham license. They give you the questions and the answers. Just study them, get your tech. Get you a license and practice. Learn how to do this stuff. If you want to program a radio, you do not need to have a license to program a radio. Just go on. I've got a video that you can go watch. Go to my channel and just type CHIRP, C-H-I-R-P, in my little search bar, and it'll be the first one that comes up, and I will teach you everything you need to know about programming your radio. And if you send me an email and request it, I will send you my programming file that has all the stuff that I've got in my radios, so you can see it and you can copy and paste what you want out of it for your radios. I've already got everything in there, like all the marine channels, all the GMRS channels, the statewide repeater systems for Florida. I've got in there FRS, GMRS, MERS, all the calling frequencies. I mean, it's all already in there. I'll send you that program. I don't care. You can also get it all right in Chirp. You can download it. I show you in there how to get all the standard config files, and then I show you how to get all the repeaters from your area, and then I show you how to get all the business stuff from your area. So it's all right there, and you can program all of that into your radio in a couple of hours, just figuring out how to do it using my video. And then once you program these radios, you blow that program, you copy the next one in, and you copy and paste it into the next radio, and then you program that one. Hook the next one up, bring it down, copy it over, load it up. Next thing you know, you got all three of your radios have the exact same 1,000 channel program in them. And it's got everything from the middle school right down the street to the electric company to the fire department. It's got everything in there, all the amateur radio repeaters, and everything works. Remember, if it's a life and death situation, you don't need a license. So it's one of those things. I do suggest getting a license for sure. It's the best 35 bucks you'll ever spend. You're correct, Crowbar. I completely agree with that. Most clubs will give the test for nothing. For 30 or 40 bucks, there's companies that'll give it to you online. If you type in "take amateur radio test online," there's companies out there that will, for 30 or 40 bucks, they'll do a Zoom meeting with you and they will administer the test to you over a Zoom meeting. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this. Most of your local clubs do some kind of testing still. And so, find some way to make this work if you want to get into communication. And get into it and learn how to program your radio, learn how to make sure that you're prepped and you're ready. And hey, you might find something you really like. I got into it. I do stuff now. I contest. I do POTA. I get very involved in the ham radio. I don't do anything with my local club or anything because that doesn't really interest me. Oh man, I'm thirsty. Well, if there's something I can help with, neighbor, let me know because like I said, I'd be glad to help. If you have no license at all, I would suggest go ahead right now, tomorrow, and go ahead and get your GMRS license. It's 35 bucks. There's no test. Fill out the paperwork. You'll have it in a couple days, whatever. Then pick the one you want, buy it, dump the GML, and I'll help you with this. I got a video that shows you how to do it, literally step by step by step. Program the GMRS channels into it, and now you're all set. And guess what? Your GMRS license, unlike a ham license, your GMRS license is good for you and your family members. Okay? So if you and your wife are going fishing and you're going out in the boat, she's staying back at the campground, you can give her a GMRS radio and both use the same license, and it's legal, 100% legal. So GMRS gives you the ability to hand a radio to somebody. It's mostly for family members, but give it to your best friend or whatever. I'm sure you get away with that. The point is it gives you a radio that you can hand to somebody else and you guys can use it. Just put it on low power. Nobody cares. And then, if you like that, when you go back and you get your ham radio license, guess what? That same radio, you just program all the other stuff into it. Now you got all that stuff. So that's what I would do. Eventually get a base radio and a mobile radio for your car. And it's cool. It's a fun thing, and when there's emergencies, you know what's going on. Yeah, GMRS is $35 for 10 years. Ham radio technician license is $35 for 10 years. An upgrade for general is another $35, and an upgrade to extra, which you do not need, is another $35. All you need is general in order to do everything that you'll ever want to do. All extra is a pompous thing for people. It's so they got this little extra swat that they can talk in, and I can't talk in. And guess what? I don't care. I am not playing the game with that extra class. You don't need it. You do need your general though. That's 3 different $35 charges, and then in 10 years you'll have to renew 2 of them at $35. So it's really not bad, $35 for 10 years. That's $3.50 a year. I mean, it comes out to like a penny and a half a day. It's probably one of the cheaper licenses you'll ever have, and it's definitely worth it. Yeah, when I got mine, you didn't pay for it, and when I got my general, you didn't pay for it. But now it's $35. I wish they wouldn't have done that, but they went and added that $35. It just makes it that much harder to get people in. And I know you're thinking, if somebody really wants to do it, how is $35 gatekeeping? It is, dude. Anything you put in the way is gatekeeping. Whether it's a $35 charge, whether it's some stupid test that doesn't mean anything, whether it's some horrible website that you have to navigate to try to figure out how to sign up on the FCC website. It's terrible. It's worse than anything. It's probably worse than any government website you've ever been on. It's terrible. And so you just knocked my radio over. You know that? No, my goodness, this cat is on me. I don't know what it is tonight. Mama Kitty, she don't care. I don't even know where she's at. Sleeping in the chair back there. She's sleeping in the chair back there. Man, I had all these good views up, and then and as soon as I go live, they all just go to hell in a handbasket. Daddy, I'm a little busy. I hate to admit it, but I'm a little busy right now, Daddy. Oh. There's this channel I've been trying to figure out. It says live, a word that is way overused. Live, emergency action messages alert, ham radio monitoring, WW3, tensions and Venezuela crisis on ICOM. And when you go to it, it shows the north part of South America, where Venezuela is. And it's got a plane tracker and a weather tracker and a camera that's dark in Caracas. And then it shows the front of an amateur radio. The amateur radio is on 11.175 megahertz. I've pulled this up 3 or 4 times, and I'm trying to hear what it is. What are we listening to? But there's never anything on there but static. I think it's a clickbait deal. But there's not even any sound, I don't think, right now. Nope, it's just dead silent. But there's 28 people and they're watching it. It's nothing. I don't know. At least when I put up stuff, it's something. I always think something's better than nothing. And people that say less is more, I couldn't agree less about that less is more thing. Yeah. Let me see if I can switch out a couple of these real quick. We had a fun show tonight on radio. We're talking tonight about how the TSA has put together this new program where, remember, for the last 20 years they've said, if you don't get that star on your driver's license, that gold star, if you don't bring in a copy of your electric bill or whatever and prove that you live here, it was so stupid. You gotta get your real ID. Remember the real ID? And you're not going to fly. After May 2025, your ass is not going to fly. Get off that God-blessed keyboard. It says you're not going to fly if you don't have this star on your driver's license. You're not going to fly. Well, that was in May. Here it is December, and apparently they've had such a problem with it that now, if you pay them $45, they'll let you fly without it. I'm not shitting you. If you show up with no real ID, if you pay them $45, and it's an app, you go through the little process, you pay them the $45, and they let you board a plane without real ID, whether you have it or not, physically on you, or it's at home, or you've never gotten it. If you pay the $45, you get on the plane. Isn't that kind of defeating the whole damn purpose of the whole thing? I mean, like I said on the air tonight, they've made it kind of like Mexico. You show up. If you don't have your license, you can't fly. Unless you grease the guy 40 or 50 bucks, then he'll let you get on the plane. I'm like, we're doing it like Mexico now. That's crazy when you think about it. I wish when these things, when the videos would end, they would just go to a blank screen. I'm working on figuring out how to do that. I really want these to just go to a blank screen instead of playing some old video from God knows when. Alright, I guess we'll leave that for right now. It came back up. Alright. So lots of winter storm chasing going on up there. To me, the winter storm chasing is not near as exciting as all the rest of the storm chasing, but that's alright. Let's see here. Okay, so let's get back. I want to talk briefly again about that geomagnetic storm. So what's coming up in the next 5, 6, 7 days? This big, huge cluster, Foxtrot, it's a cluster of sunspots. And I mean, it's a big cluster. For those of you who weren't with us, let me pull up that picture again so you guys can see it. It's hard because I have to get the image just right so that it will appear properly in the window. And see, that still doesn't get it all. There we go. There we go. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. Why won't it transition? Well, there we go. I got it to transition that way. All right, so there's the sunspot complex that we're talking about. And look at that. And look at it. It still stretches around the corner. We're not sure. There might be another one coming. There may be another one in this long chain of sunspots. So all this is moving around now. A massive, here it says, a massive cluster of sunspots in the southeastern quadrant continues to rotate towards center disk, comprised of 3 separate regions, 4296, 4294, and 4298. These regions, along with the newly rotated into view RGN 4299 in the far northeast quadrant. That's the other one that went off yesterday. Including a magnetic complexity that rises to the likelihood of an R1 or R2 solar flares. Are now 70% chance, along with the chance for another R3 or strong event. Coronal mass ejections have taken place in association with activity from these regions, but thus far they have all been aimed away from Earth. Through the week, these regions will rotate into more favorable positions for possible Earth-directed activity. Additionally, they will also continue to influence Earth with increased solar wind. Remember, it's not just the explosions, but these holes are like holes in the corona of the sun, and they let out solar wind, and so they affect us in multiple different ways. And they're saying that we also are going to have at least G1 storms on the 4th and 5th of December, just because of the wind field that's coming off of this thing. What happened last night was a coronal mass ejection. That's an eruption of solar material in magnetic fields. When they arrive at Earth, a geomagnetic storm can result. Watches of this level are not that uncommon. A CME is anticipated to affect Earth with elevated geomagnetic responses and dependent upon the orientation of the embedded magnetic field. Potential exists for moderate storm levels. Uncertainty in the model parameters could mean an earlier arrival as early as the 3rd of December. So this is a glancing blow. It's not a direct. It's going to go by us, but we are going to get the corner of it. Dom, I actually know of a community of about 300 or so people. It's a very tight-knit community. It's gated, and a friend of mine, and I'm working with him, has put up a GMRS tower for them and a repeater, because he lives in the community, and they've gotten about 40% of now have their GMRS license, and every home now is getting a GMRS radio in it. And when there's a big lightning storm, they turn on that little portable radio, because you can talk on that radio safely inside your home, because it's not connected to anything. And it's working out really good for them. And I think that that's something that more and more communities should look into. Yeah, there's a bunch of SDRs, web SDRs. There's a lot of radios up that you can go listen to, and that's good. All right, so anyway, that's that Sunspot complex, guys. It's a big, huge deal. I don't know, that it's a lot of sunspots. This one's a mirror image. I don't know why. I'm trying to see if they've put out anything else. Let me just take a peek here. No, this is what it looked like. This was that one last night. That's what it looked like. And it was one hell of an explosion last night. And it's not from this big cluster. The explosion actually came from another one that's small and was not expected to do much. The sun is very volatile right now. That's a fact. And we're seeing it do crazy stuff. So that's not that unusual for the top of the solar cycle. And we are definitely at the top of the solar cycle. Yes, neighbor, the dongles are cheap, and I would definitely suggest getting one. You're correct about the antenna. It's the weakest link. Do not buy the SDR that has all the little stupid antennas and the little rabbit ears and all that come with it. It's all worthless. What you need to do is you need to get a real antenna and string it up outside and do it the right way. If you live on a 12th story apartment, okay, why don't you take a pole and run you a wire out to the end of that pole and dangle it off of your building down about 40-50 feet straight down and hook that up to your receiver. That'll receive great. But it's all about antenna. If you're receiving VHF and it's all VHF, get you a nice VHF magnet mount 5/8 wave antenna and go stick it out on your porch. If you live in a home, then buy something you can put on the roof. Don't ever settle for what you get in the house. Okay? I'm telling you, you're never going to be happy until you get that antenna outside. If you can go up on top of your house and say at 15 or 20 feet above terrain, you can put a nice 5/8 mobile antenna stuck on a oven pan or something, so it's got a nice big negative ground plane below it, or even a piece of mesh or something, so you've got a ground plane, and you stick that up on your roof at 15 or 20 feet, you're going to make that SDR sharp 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 times better than it was. Another piece of advice: when you hook up your SDR sharp, or your SDR RTL SDR, if you're using the SDR sharp program or any program, make sure that your gain is turned up. Sometimes the gain's turned all the way down and people think their shit's broke. So right away, figure out how to turn up your gain and turn your gain almost all the way up. Yeah, you can do it in an apartment. I rented an apartment one time that was on the 8th floor, and I dangled a wire down and was able to receive all kinds of neat stuff. I was also in one on the 5th floor outside of DC, and I was able to dangle down a wire and was able to pick up a bunch of different stuff from DC. Yeah, the 5RM's good. It's not my favorite. I don't know. I don't dislike it. I have one. I like it. It's good radio. I would spend the extra $10 and get the 30 to 32, or get the bigger 25 or the 17. That's just me though. There's nothing wrong with the 5RM. It's a great radio. Yep. Yeah, there's always plenty of info on YouTube. Oh, if you're on the 14th floor, okay, see, you can get you an HF wire. You get you what they call an end fed, and you can dangle that wire down to the right length for 20 meters or even 40 meters, and put your adapter right at the end of your pole, and then you hang your pole out over the banister like a fishing pole, and that way it's away from your neighbors' houses so they can't reach out and grab it. The ones below you, you want to go out about 8 feet and then just dangle it straight down, and get you a piece of wire that's pretty low profile. Ham radio places even send, they even have blackout wire. It's like a flat black wire that you can't really see. It's hard to see out in the, out there. And you could just dangle that down from your building there, and you'll actually get some decent performance with that. And just hang it over the balcony. Get you a 10-foot piece of pipe or a 10-foot piece of wood, hook the thing up to where your coax goes out to the end of the piece of pipe, right? And then there's a hook there, and then your box hangs right below it, and then your wire just dangles straight down. You put maybe a little 1 pound weight on the bottom of it to keep it straight, and then it's like you're fishing for signals. And then you just hang that over the banister, so that it doesn't, obviously, you got to be careful so you don't lose the goddamn thing. But you hang it over the banister, you put a sandbag or something on the back end of it, wedge it into the wall, put a sandbag on it, and now it's 7 feet away from people's banisters, so you're not going to get a lot of interference, and it'll be good. It'll be somewhat directional. The building is going to block the signal behind you, so you're only going to have like a 180 degree ellipse where it's actually going to be really effective. Look, there's a lot. Look, if you live in an HOA, first of all, if you live in an HOA, God bless you. I don't know why you would ever do that to yourself, but I'm sure you've hopefully learned your lesson by now. But anyway, HOAs are basically the most ignorant thing I've ever seen in my life. You got people that live, I know people right now, they live in a country, they live in a state, they live in a county, and they live in a city, and they live under a master board, and they live under a homeowners association. Now, anybody that would want to live under that much government is nuts. Nuts. I would never live in a city. I would never live in an HOA. I would never live in a deed restricted community. That's just me. If it works for you, that's great. And so, if it works for you, here's what you do. You put weed killer, you put an herbicide down in a big spray can, and you go spray shit. No, I'm just kidding. What you do if you live in a homeowners association is you have to learn to hide shit. Here's some ways you can hide stuff. In the state of Florida, and in many states, they cannot restrict your access to DirecTV. So a lot of times you're allowed to still put up a DirecTV antenna. So you put up a DirecTV antenna. It's not hooked up to DirecTV. It has an antenna on top of it for your VHF. Something else you can do. Flagpoles. A lot of HOAs will tell you you can't build anything, you can't do anything, but you can put up a flagpole. That's one thing that'll, because of veterans and because of us wanting to honor veterans and honor our military and our country and all that, a lot of HOAs and a lot of states even have made it to where you're allowed to erect a flagpole. Believe it or not, these ham radio companies sell flagpoles. It's an antenna. It's a flagpole antenna. It's got the rope and the cleat and the pulley at the top and the whole bit. It looks just like a small, a lower profile antenna. A lower profile, like a flagpole. You know, it's 22 feet tall, and you cement it into the ground and everything, and it's great. Except, guess what? It's an antenna. It actually has coax down in the concrete that comes out and goes under the ground, and they don't know that. And so you've got this big, huge vertical HF antenna in your front yard, and it's got a flag flapping on it. It works good. Something else you can do, okay? A lot of times these homes are made of wood, and then they put a metal gutter around the house, right? Well, I know several people that I talked to during my show when we were doing the TechNet show, that because their gutter is anchored into wood, the gutter is actually isolated from the house all the way around. And what they did was they went to a spot in the gutter, like behind a tree where the homeowners association couldn't see, and they cut the gutter. They cut through the gutter, and they put a piece of rubber in there. And then they hooked their antenna up to one side and the other side of the gutter. And they charged the gutter on the house. And they were able to tune that with a rotor tuner, and they were able to talk across the world on it. So where there's a will, there's a way. You can also, with these roofs, if there's no metal in the roof or just a little bit of metal with the nails and stuff, you can go up there, right, and you can tuck your wire up underneath the tiles along the top of the roof. You know, you got like your standard roofing tiles, your asphalt tiles. You can actually go up there and just at night when nobody can see you, and you tuck in your wire. You lay your box there, nobody can really see it. You know, you hide your wire down the crack in the roof so they can't see it, and you tuck your little wire up underneath the edge of your shingles all the way down across both ways on your roof, and you end up making a dipole up on the top of your roof of your condo or your building or whatever it is, whether your home. There's so many things you can do. A lot of people have a tripod, and when they want to go on, they just walk this tripod out there and they stand it up in their backyard. And when they're done with it, they go out and they fold it back up and they put it back on their porch. There's a lot of that kind of stuff, portable rigs. Something else you can do: put a big, huge magnet mount HF antenna on your truck or your car, and then just run a wire from your car into the house and use it from in the house. They can't say anything about it. You can get around it. You can always get around it. Attic mounted antennas work good, especially if you're near the repeater sites. Like, let's say you got 3 or 4 repeaters, they're all less than 10 miles away. Put you a nice 5/8 wave antenna with a nice ground plane up in the attic, and just make sure the top of it's not touching anything. This doesn't work if you have a metal roof. You have to have a wood roof or a shingle roof. It cannot be a metal roof. But there you go. You can put your antenna right there in the attic, and you can talk all over the place, and they'll never know that antenna's up there. I know people that have strung HF antennas all through their whole attic. They put mag loop antennas up there. I've seen unnumbered antennas up there in attics. I've seen pictures of all that shit. We did a thing one night, bring the pictures of your antenna setup. And I was surprised a lot of these guys live in HOAs and they still got antennas. One guy has an unnumbered that hangs on his wall like a piece of art. But it's an actual antenna. Where it's facing is towards the repeater. So it's hanging on the wall like a piece of art, and it's a working antenna at the same time. I thought that was a genius. There's so many things you can do. A little 3-element unnumbered 2-meter on your back porch on a tripod that just sits there all the time. It just sits there at it's 6 feet and looks at this antenna that's over there, and it just sits there. And now it goes in the house, and you can hook it up, and there's your radio. There's your base antenna, basically. Well, thanks, Gator. I appreciate that. Where there's a will, there's a way. It's absolute true. Attic antennas are certainly not the best, but they work. They get you by. I know a guy that's done 6 meters out of an attic antenna. It's not great. It's a challenge, but he likes a challenge. There's a lot you can do with it. A lot of it depends on how much metal was used in your house or in your roof. Most roofs, other than the nails, it's all wood or tar. It's not or asphalt. There's very little metal. But if you've got metal sheeting or lath or anything like that, it changes that. It changes the whole dynamic. It won't work at all. You basically are setting up your antenna inside your own Faraday cage. Yeah, so that's that. Let me see what else is going on. Yeah, don't ever. I've even got, if you go back on my channel here, hold on. I don't know why I don't think about doing this more often. I published all of this stuff when I was doing it, and then I went back and recapsulated it and published it again about 1.5 years, 2 years later. And the reason I did it that way was because we would spend 3 or 4 hours on the TechNet going through everything and doing everything, and only 1 hour of that would actually be the main topic of the night. So I went back and I would cut just that main topic out and make a video of just that, and that's what I recommend if you can find those. And I believe I've got one in here, and it's myself and all of my specialists that I had in tell you all the different ways that you can beat a homeowners association with antennas. Um, oh wow. Oh shit. Well, let me see if I can find it here real quick. That sucks. Oh, Christ, I keep putting it in the wrong spot. I may have to find this and get back to you because I don't, it's not coming up readily here. Huh. Huh. I'll be honest, I'm a little perplexed. I don't see it. Okay, sorry. Eee, I wonder what happened. I tried all the different keywords I could think of. I don't know what it would be under. But we talked about everything, all the stuff I just mentioned, the gutters, the flagpoles, the attic antennas. There's also a couple of others I didn't mention. I'll go ahead and mention real quick. The potted plant antenna. Now I know this sounds weird, but let's say you're on the 8th floor, okay? And you're allowed to hang a potted plant outside, okay? But you're not allowed to put up antennas. You can get a potted plant with a plastic, the 3 plastic things that come up with the plastic hook. You know what I'm talking about? You take that right there, all right? And you get some fake flowers to go in it. And you mesh or a ground plane in there. Down inside that, you get one about this big. You put a mesh in there, so you got a ground plane, and you put an NMO or some kind of connection there and a quarter wave antenna, and then you hook that up by your ceiling up on your 6th floor, and then you just run the wire up and out or however you got to do it, or over to the wall right next to it or whatever, and it goes back to your radio, and that gives you a decent quarter wave that's outside, and no one can see it because it's concealed inside that plant, that hanging plant. You can do the same thing with just about any kind of planter. If you've got a big planter, you're on the 7th floor, but you're allowed to put a big planter out on your porch. You can put a 5/8 wave antenna with a mesh on the bottom of that and everything, and you can build you an antenna right in that big huge potted thing out there or whatever. You can also just literally go and hang wires down over your screen. You can take a wire and run it along your screen this way and run another one along your screen this way and measure it for 2 meters, and you can cut that thing out, cut it down to 1 meter, you got a half. You can do all kinds of stuff where it doesn't look like anything. Your neighbors won't notice it. It won't look like an antenna is the main thing. It just looks like a piece of wire hanging there, or just, it doesn't look like anything. You don't see it. Yeah, you can even a fence. The problem with a fence is it goes down into the ground. But like if you have a wooden fence posts and you've got a barbed wire fence, you could conceivably charge that barbed wire. If it's one contiguous piece of barbed wire all the way around your field, you could go to one spot and cut it and connect to both sides and charge that, run it through a tuner. You can go out you can go out in your garden right outside your front door and run one wire along the ground and run the other wire through the bush, through the hedges, like that. It's not perfect, but it gets you outside and it gets you an antenna that's outside. And you may be surprised. You can work with the length on something like that, and you can get, you know, different bands with it and things like that. There's just anywhere you can think to put it. Like if you got a wooden garage door, you can actually hang it on the inside of the garage door and nobody will ever see it. If you have big windows, you can actually put an inverted V in the corner of your window and just go 1 inch into the window and tape it in the glass. Nobody would ever see it. I'm giving you guys like 50 good ideas here. I mean, there's so many ways to hide an antenna. There's also the mag loop antennas. They work pretty good right inside your condo. I don't know what they do to your neighbor's TV, but again, the new TVs aren't as susceptible as the old ones used to be. All right, guys, we're getting close to the end here. I'm at 2 hours now. I've been on for 2 hours. Daddy Kitty's starting to get tired. He's wanting to go to bed. I think he's a big wuss. Whatever. I'll watch the chat for a few minutes. If there's anything else you guys have, throw in the chat. I'll be glad to comment on it. I'm going to be doing, in another couple of days, I'm going to be promoting some more mods. So hang in there, guys. If you've been coming in for weeks and you're starting to wonder, it takes a month or so, but once I get to know you, and once we see you in a bunch of shows, I'll go ahead and make you a mod. And also, I also make you a mod over on Discord as well. Also, I'm going to be promoting a few senior mods coming up, and I'll be giving them my phone number and stuff. So we're going to be working this. We're going to be increasing the size and scope of our channel. I'm going to be increasing the number of people that are involved. I'm going to increase the number of things you guys can do to be involved, and we're going to have a little more of like a ranking system and stuff. It's going to be fun. We're going to grow together here. It's going to be good. All right. Again, I'm watching the chat room. Does anybody have anything else before we sign off? Oh, I am so tired. Wow. I just wish I knew where that video is. I'm perplexed now. Wait. Yeah, hey, no worries, Heath. I love doing it. Gator, I'm glad that you're here. And yeah, it should be. Well, there you go. Crowbar, I'm glad you're here. Glad you found us. We're glad you're here. We do talk ham radio quite a bit, but we try not to do it. We try not to drone on for hours because I got a lot of folks that are not ham radio, but most of my folks are into science, and ham radio is kind of at the intersection of science and something else. I don't know. But there's definitely, it's at that corner there of science. And that's why I like ham radio so much, is because it is so much science. You gonna say goodnight, Daddy? Here, look into the camera. Look into it. They never do this right. Look into the camera. Look, 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 look. He won't do it. He won't do it. He won't do it. Why won't you do it? Oh, I guess I'll do it. If you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. Are you not going to do it? All right. All right, I'll do it. He's not going to do it, so I'll do it. All right, live from Starship Studios in Southwest Florida. My name's Ian. I'm here with my co-host, Daddy Kitty, and we are, like I said, live in North Fort Myers, Southwest Florida, live in the tropics. And we are here in my backyard studios, and as always, this has been the Sights and Sounds of Earth, where we bring you all the latest goings-on, trying to stay towards science and less politics. And I hope you guys have enjoyed the show this evening. This channel is Starship Adventures. Please hit the subscribe, and also check out our backup channel, which is also our static channel, which is where we put all of our non-hosted feeds, and that is Starship After Dark. Starship After Dark. And please check out our Discord channel. We are quite active over on Discord. I'll put that right in here as well. So please check out our Discord channel. That is not the Discord channel. I don't know why it did that. I don't know, whatever. That's from when I was searching something. There's the Discord channel. All right, and as far as Starship After Dark, let me see here. People tell me I don't put out my links in my channels and stuff enough, so I just want to I want to make sure I do that. I do hope you guys enjoy the content. We try pretty hard here to I say I, mostly I, sometimes we. I do have people that help me from time to time. Yes, Dom, you can literally hang the wire in the ceiling in your apartment, and it'll probably help you get out. Yep. All right, so there's our other channel. Please go over there and give a like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. All right, we're going to go ahead and shut it down here for tonight. You guys have a good one out there. We'll see you tomorrow night. We're going to continue to watch this large sunspot complex that's coming in over the eastern limb right now, and we'll watch it as it becomes more geo-effective over the coming days. All right, and we'll be checking any breaking news and all that tomorrow night, 9 p.m. or whenever news breaks. We'll see you guys then. This is Starship Adventures. My name's Ian. Have a good night, everybody, and a safe tomorrow. 7 3s.